Learning objectives. After completing this module, learners will be able to describe what air is composed of and its uses, define and understand greenhouse emissions and its effects, define and understand the structure and layers of the atmosphere and their uses, list and know about the characteristics of air and how these impact the topography. Describe the effect of features of air on weather and climate. Understand the need to conserve clean air. Composition of the atmosphere. Air. The air in the atmosphere contains several gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen and dust particles. Living organisms breathe this air for survival. Nitrogen gas forms the bulk of the air, 78%, oxygen 21%, and carbon dioxide 0.03%. Other gases, including helium, ozone, hydrogen, etc., are in lesser quantities. Plants need nitrogen for survival, and bacteria that live in the soil and air help to convert nitrogen into compounds that can be easily absorbed by the roots of the plant. Whereas humans and animals exhale most of the nitrogen out of their lungs while breathing. Oxygen is required for the survival of humans and animals. Plants produce oxygen during photosynthesis for our consumption. If we cut trees, the level of oxygen decreases and disturbs the balance of nature. Plants use carbon dioxide to produce food through photosynthesis and exhale oxygen in return. Greenhouse emissions. When the level of carbon dioxide goes up in the atmosphere by means of pollution through burning of fuels and oils by vehicles and industries, it is called greenhouse emissions. This can lead to global warming and thus endanger our lives. This rise in temperature causes the snow and ice in the mountains and glaciers to melt. This water flows into the rivers and then seas, thus leading to rise in water levels and hence flooding in the neighborhood. Such climate changes can have drastic impact on the living organisms and even lead to extinction of some species. The atmosphere and its structures. Atmosphere. Atmosphere is the layer of air around the Earth that is held by the gravitational force of the Earth. There are several layers of the atmosphere. Troposphere. It extends up to 13 km from the Earth's surface and has the air that we breathe. It has clouds and the weather phenomenon such as rainfall, fog, and hailstorm occur here. Stratosphere. It extends up to 50 km and has almost no clouds or related weather events, hence is very conducive for flying airplanes. It also has a layer of the gas, ozone, that protects us from harmful rays of the sun. Mesosphere. It extends up to 80 kilometers. Meteorites falling from space quickly burn up upon entering this layer. Hence, no debris or very little debris hits the Earth. Thermosphere. It has very high temperatures and has the layer ionosphere that extends from 80 to 400 km. This layer helps in radio transmission and reflects the radio waves sent from the Earth back to it. Exosphere. It extends way beyond into the upper reaches of the atmosphere and has thin air with gases such as helium and hydrogen. The atmosphere holds the air that we breathe. It also wards off the harmful rays of the sun from reaching us. It helps in regulating the temperature on the Earth, due to which all living organisms do not freeze at night or get baked during the day. When air gets heated, it expands and becomes lighter and then rises up. When the hot air rises, the cold air from the surrounding sea areas come in to replace it. This is because cold air is dense and heavy and hence tends to sink. This is how air circulation happens all the time. Weather and Climate 1. Weather. Weather is the hour-to-hour or day-to-day conditions of the atmosphere. It can change dramatically anytime. However, the average conditions observed over a place over a longer duration of time is called the climate of the place. The factors affecting the weather of a place are the air temperature and air pressure. Temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness of the atmospheric air. It changes not only during day and night, but also during seasons. Summers are hotter than winters. Insolation, or the amount of solar energy intercepted by the Earth, affects the distribution of temperature in the atmosphere. It is the highest at the equator and decreases towards the poles. Hence, the poles are always covered in snow. Temperature is measured with a thermometer. Degrees Celsius is the standard unit of measuring the temperature. It was invented by Anders Celsius. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Temperatures in cities are much higher than that of villages. This is because the concrete and asphalt of the buildings get heat up during the day and release the heat during night. Also, high-rise buildings trap the warm air between them. Air pressure. Air pressure is the pressure exerted by the weight of the air on the Earth's surface. It is exerted on our bodies too from all directions. But our bodies exert a counter pressure and hence we do not feel the air pressure. Air pressure is measured using a barometer. Air pressure is the highest at the sea level. It keeps decreasing as we go up in the atmosphere. In areas where the temperature is high, the air rises and creates a low pressure there. This creates conditions of cloudy skies and wet weather. Where temperature is cold, it creates high pressure as cold air gets dense and sinks. This is associated with clear skies and weather. On the moon, there is no air pressure. Astronauts wear special body suits on moon to counter the body pressure, else their blood vessels would burst. Weather and Climate 2. Wind is another factor that affects the weather. Air always moves from a high-pressure area to a low-pressure one. This movement of air is called wind. Winds can be strong or gentle depending upon the speed. A wind is named after the direction from which it blows. For example, a westerly blows from the west. Various wind systems are created according to the pressure belts. There are 3 major types of winds. Permanent winds. Trade winds easterlies and westerlies. These blow constantly throughout the year in a particular direction. Seasonal winds. These change directions in different seasons. For example, monsoons in India. Local winds. These winds blow only on a particular day or year in a small area. For example, a sea breeze or the hot and dry winds called Loo in the northern plains of India. Very high-speed winds cause a lot of turbulence and cause a cyclone near coastal areas. One cyclone in October 1999 in Orissa caused huge havoc and damage, resulting in tidal waves flooding and causing salinization. As a result, several humans, animals and crops died. Moisture is also a feature that impacts weather and climate. Moisture at any time is called the humidity of the air. This is caused by the water vapor that is formed when water from the land and water bodies evaporates. As the air gets warmer, its capacity to hold more water vapor increases and thus humidity increases. As the water vapor rises, it condenses to form droplets of water. These combines with dust, etc. to form clouds. When the clouds in the air becomes too heavy, the droplets start falling in form of precipitation. Precipitation that comes down in form of liquids is called rainfall. Depending upon mechanism, rainfall is of three types: convectional, orographic or relief, and cyclonic. Most of the rainwater gets stored as groundwater. This is provided there are enough trees whose roots trap the water. If not, all the rainwater gets wasted and causes flooding of rivers and plains. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Air is comprised of several gases, of which nitrogen holds the bulk. Many of these gases are required for the survival of living organisms. Greenhouse emissions are caused when the level of carbon dioxide in the air rises. This occurs due to pollution caused by fumes from industries and vehicles by burning of fuels, coal, etc. This also depletes the ozone layer slowly. This is called global warming. It increases the heat around the earth and causes glaciers, etc. to melt, resulting in floods and other calamities. Clean air needs to be preserved and awareness needs to be spread for this. The atmosphere is a blanket of air over the earth held by its gravitational force. It has several layers: the troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and the exosphere. The troposphere is the most important layer. Most weather events happen here, and its ozone layer helps ward off harmful rays of the sun. Air pressure and temperature determine the coldness and hotness in an area, thus impacting the weather and climate conditions such as rainfall, hailstorm, etc. Wind is an important form of air. Its speed can change conditions overnight. It can cause cyclones in coastal areas.